okJLUV recently hosted one of the largest Pokemon investing streams of the year, featuring incredible people like Cool Trainer Ryan, NostalgiaNomics, Opossum Bud, the Poké Office, Rob Burns, and this guy. Hey, that's me. Today, I'm taking advantage of being back on my own channel to actually share my thoughts on 3 of the important topics from the debate. 1, I'm going to dive right in to what I think is the riskiness of Pokemon investing. 2, I'm going to take on what the community thinks of investing bros and how I've been affected by it. 3, I want to address okJLUV's perspective on whether or not these Pokemon investor channels even believe in what they're saying. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you a little secret about how a small nobody channel like me found themselves on this absolutely massive live stream. So stick around. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TCG Buyers Club. My name's Gray, I buy cardboard, and I make collecting and investing in Pokemon simple. Right off the bat, I want to rip into the topic of Pokemon investing riskiness. This was a big theme throughout the debate where the different sides of the argument shared their opinions on why they do or don't think Pokemon will continue to do well in the future, which is really the key to investing. You're not going to buy this product to hold it for the long term if you don't believe people will be willing to pay more for it in the future. And interestingly, a lot of the conversation centered around historical data and whether or not that should give us confidence in the future performance. Because I think everyone watching, certainly my video right now, knows the story of Pokemon products and investments. That almost without fail, Pokemon products, especially sealed products, are worth more today than they were. So the question is, can we expect to see that in the future? Now, I personally think yes. To me, the market is still incredibly favorable. And for sealed products, which is really where most of my investment purchases go, I just have so much faith that as long as Pokemon is popular over time, there will eventually be an inflection point where that causes those prices to rise. Now, looking at the historical returns today definitely is heavily influenced by the impact of the pandemic and the collectibles boom. And there was some excellent commentary around that. I think in general, the group tended to agree that the pandemic itself, which seems to have driven all kinds of collectible hobbies to crazy heights, the returns today reflect the impact of that once-in-a-lifetime experience. And no one has any idea if anything like that will happen again, but you have to assume it won't. It was such an extreme outlier event. But even without something like that, we have a Pokemon hobby that is more popular than it's ever been. More packs are being bought and ripped into every day than ever before. And I believe that that is a great sign for the future of the hobby. On top of that, Pokemon investing, especially with sealed, has this super unique quality where if we look at the data, not a single booster box that is more than a couple years old is worth less than MSRP today. And I just think that means that when we look at cheap booster boxes in particular, the risk is actually really low for those products. It's just so unlikely that they continue to be cheaper years later. Not impossible, but it feels really unlikely to me. So that's most of my purchases. I feel really comfortable buying booster boxes at relatively low prices and just sitting on them for the long term. When you combine that, what I view as relatively low risk with the potential returns, where we've seen many Pokemon products double, triple, increase many times in value over relatively small windows of time, it's just such a compelling risk to reward ratio, in my opinion. But here's where one of my most important takeaways from the stream came in. And it was actually from Cool Trainer Ryan when he was describing his history in the hobby and ultimately investing in Pokemon products, whether he realized that's what he was doing or not. And what he said was, for years when he was involved, nobody thought they were going to make money doing this. And he did think he was unlikely to lose money, which gave him comfort in buying as much sealed product as he did. But the returns he experienced were extremely unexpected. And this is just such an important perspective for me and others like me to keep in mind. If you join the hobby during the 2020 boom or any time after that, we've just experienced such a different time for the hobby. The types of price movements and volatility we've seen have not been the norm historically, and the current prices for products that were released prior to that boom have been pushed up many times higher during that time period that make it look like this guaranteed exceptional returning asset. I still have a ton of confidence in the long term of the hobby. That's just my opinion. But I do need to remember to check myself and remind myself that the data that I have from actively participating in buying is not the data of the whole hobby. So is Pokemon risky? Yeah, hell yeah, it's super risky. I do think anyone participating in this market should be financially established elsewhere. I know for me personally, if everything went to zero, it would suck, but I would be absolutely unaffected on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's what gives me the confidence to do what I do and to communicate what I communicate. And obviously none of this is financial advice. I guess I have to make the disclaimer. You shouldn't listen to basement dwellers like myself who specialize in blank stares and smiling and nodding on live streams. Just saying. So moving on to the second topic, investing bros. There was a lot of conversation around the market perception of Pokemon investors, with NostalgiaNomics and the Poké Office reinforcing that they've seen a lot of negativity directed either at them or just at investors in general. And I would tend to agree, but I do think in the recent years, it's gotten a lot better because as a collector, I think it's so easy in the big market booms when product gets super scarce and hard to find, becomes really easy to point the finger at investors as contributing to the problem. And for better or for worse, because I do think there's a lot of truth that when you can't find products anywhere in stores, it doesn't help that there may be investors who are buying up large quantities of that product you're looking for and keeping it off market by storing it away and waiting for it to go up in value. I would be mad too, and I think that's totally justified. But we're back in more normal market norms where I don't think anybody is complaining about investors who've been buying up Scarlet and Violet product. If you want it, it's been readily available, it's cheap, and in fact, many people are skeptical of whether it will continue to appreciate. So what do they care? And that's just the way it should be. I do think there's a lot of positive things that investors bring to the market, things like market liquidity, being willing to buy things as they're appreciating. If you're a collector trying to do some sales so you can raise funds for other purchases and things like that. But it seems to me that there is a balance where a healthy collectibles market has some investors, has a lot of collectors, has players too. Ultimately, the diversity of those interests, I think, is really positive to the hobby as a whole. They all have different motivations and interests that help keep the business alive, keep new sets coming out, and help support the secondary market, which can, over the long term, I think, help everyone who participates in it. I'll also add that I'm a small creator. Not that many people watch me, and I definitely don't get a lot of hate flung at me either. So I have no idea what it's like being a larger channel. I have no doubt that with just volume of participants, you're more likely to have some crazies who say some mean things to you. And so the last item I wanted to touch on is this idea of whether or not Pokemon investor channels actually believe what they're saying. And this was a big point in okJLUV's original video and was definitely one of the ones that motivated me to get involved in this conversation. Because yes, 100%, I think the vast majority of these Pokemon investing channels do believe it. Certainly I do. And I really hope that that comes through in the way that I communicate and share my thoughts about Pokemon and the market and products. That's not to say there wouldn't be some bad actors, but I think on the whole, absolutely, people just love this stuff, think it's a great opportunity, think it's fun, and love sharing it to their audiences. And I think that's an awesome thing. Where this gets interesting, though, is also that perspective of the morality or ethics of doing this type of content. And I agree this is a tricky area to navigate. For me personally, I definitely consider myself a Pokemon investor, but I don't really consider my channel Pokemon investing content. Now, you might watch my videos and think I'm crazy. Of course it's investing, because there is a business lean. I happen to love business and entrepreneurship, and I look at Pokemon a lot through that lens. Like, what is the Pokemon company trying to accomplish? How are they designing sets and products and handling their releases in order to best operate their business? And on the side, I might buy some things here and there that I think are good long-term plays that are informed by that perspective. But I haven't ever made videos like, here's the best products you should buy right now, and really push the idea like you need to invest in these products. And there's definitely a component of ethics that comes into that. I'm definitely less comfortable making really strong cases for investing in this hobby, and in particular specific items, because yeah, I would feel bad if I was wrong. And so I kind of try to tiptoe around that type of content. I don't really have a conclusion for that. That's something I'm continuing to think about. Okay, time to get into the final bonus snippet, I promise, which is the secret to how I got invited onto this amazing stream. Because I get it, guys. I'm a small creator. I'm aware I was definitely the least recognizable person on that stream, and I saw a lot of the comments and commentary videos after the fact admitting that people had no idea who I was. And the truth is, literally, all that happened was I asked. I'm a big fan of okJLUV. I've been watching him for years, and he's a big part of the reason I'm primarily a Japanese collector now. So when he put out his investing video and asked if anyone felt they wanted to have this conversation on a live stream, just to reach out, and I shot my shot. I sent him a DM. He got back to me, sent me the details, kept me in the loop, and that's how I ended up on that stream. Now, I didn't know prior to the stream kicking off, when okJLUV introduced me, that he had any idea who I was before I reached out. He mentioned he's actually watched a lot of my videos and likes them, and I have no idea how much that influenced my ability to actually get included. There may have been many other small creators who reached out and didn't have the same opportunity I did, so I completely appreciate that. I might have just been really lucky in this case. I do just believe deeply that if you go after something that you care about with the right intentions, you try your best, you work really hard, over the long term, good things are just bound to happen. And for me, this was absolutely one of those good things, whether that had anything to do with it or not. So that's all I have to say. The stream was an incredible experience. Everyone was super supportive. Behind the scenes, I thought the energy of the group was so kind and welcoming. It was a really special thing to participate in. And so hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you enjoyed hearing my direct perspective on these items. And if you did, I'd love to hear from it in the comments below. I do read every single one, and I always love connecting with you. And of course, subscribe if you want to hear more from me in the future. It means a ton and really does support the channel. So thank you, as always, for tuning in to the TCG Buyers Club. My name's Gray. I buy cardboard. I'll see you in the next video.